All right, so welcome back to class. You guys have been kind of missed last week because of the weather here, but anyway, we're back on it. Still talking about codes. Um, I got a couple of messages concerning the Charlie Kirk thing we're going to look at in just a moment, but first, we're going to look at Leanna, who has, if you recall the last class, she would worked on a code on the feast. She's got another one, and did you say this is also in the New Testament?
Yes, it is.
Very good. All right, lay it on us.
All right. This is the report, and it's from Matthew to Acts, and it's titled Yom Kippor, which means Day of Atonement.
Well.
And it I found a verse in there that I liked, which is right here in the middle.
Yeah.
It's John 8:56. Down here with the black line under it is what I highlighted. Your father Abraham rejoiced to see my day, and he saw it and was glad. But I wanted to read this whole thing because I just love it. It's John 8:52 to 58. Then said the Jews unto him, Now we know thou hast a devil. Abraham is dead, and the prophets, and thou sayest, If a man keep my saying, he shall never taste of death. Art thou greater than our father Abraham, which is dead, and the prophets are dead? Whom makest thou thyself? Yeshua answered, If I honor myself, my honor is nothing. It is my Father that honoreth me, of whom ye say that he is your Elohim. Yet ye have not known him, but I know him. And if I should say I know him not, I shall be a liar like unto you. But I know him and keep his saying. Your father Abraham rejoiced to see my day, and he saw it and was glad. Then said the Jews unto him, Thou art not yet 50 years old, and hast thou seen Abraham? Yeshua said unto them, This is my favorite thing.
I love this too. I love his response in this because it's very unique
Yes,
and he's doing something provocative here. Go ahead.
yes, yes. And yeah, I mean, I just get so excited every time I read this scripture. Verily, verily, I say unto you, before Abraham was, I am. Okay, now I'm going to
And
go to
now,
my
do you know what
matrix.
they wanted to do when this happened?
Right, they want to
They
kill him.
that's right. They wanted to kill him at
That's
that moment,
ab-
which would have been
absolutely.
appropriate because it's Yom Kippur. Now, this is atonement, right? This is a time for
Uh-huh.
atonement. So this is the imagery here is incredible. But they had to get him out of there because his time wasn't yet, right? So
Right.
very, yeah, that's really cool. And I see that this is roughly a skip. What is that? 15,007, something
Uh,
like that. I
oh,
think I saw. It's okay. All
I
right. So
know I
let
did mine is 20,000 to 20,000.
yeah,
It's from Matthew to Acts.
yeah.
And I'm not, I've told the brothers and sisters, students, I'm not good at math, so I really have trouble figuring out what kind of skip I should do.
Yeah.
But that's what I did for this one, and it covers Matthew to Acts. Of
Right.
course, the
So
origin.
you're basically just setting a range, sister. You don't have to be. And if you need to, you can get out a calculator and see what the number of any given number to put it on like a row skip, and you already have a row skip here. So you're just basically dialing in a range that you want to look at, and this one falls in that range.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
And of course, it was only in the New Testament once
Yeah.
that I could find. Right here, Yom Kippur, which is Day of Atonement. I hope I'm saying that right. Yom Kippur. It's Yod, Wa, Mem, Kaf, Yod, Pei, Wa, Resh.
That's
Um,
that's correct.
and that was the verse that I already read that I highlighted. And what I think a lot of Yom Kippur is to get right with God and to humble yourself before Him.
Yeah.
So, uh, of course, our beloved Yeshua, He is our atonement for sin.
Hallelujah.
He's the Messiah. Um, Humility was in here. That word was only in there once, but humble yourself right here. And of course, this is the holy day, so I put Yomim in here, holy. And of course, Yahuwah is at a skip here. It's not running in the plain text right there.
Right.
And that's really all that I have. It's very simple. What I usually do is I just get on my knees and try to make sure that I repent of anything that I have done that I shouldn't have done,
Mhm.
and talk to him and try to exalt him and humble myself. And so that's and I just love when he said that before Abraham was, I am, and of course that provoked the religious leaders of the time to be angry because they couldn't see it. They couldn't see it coming,
Yeah.
and he died for my sins, and we all sin, fall short of the glory. And so I just wanted to share that just because it was just before Yom Kippur. I think it's this Friday, if I'm right about counting when I saw the new moon, but I'm not sure. Maybe somebody else can correct me if I'm wrong on that. But
Yeah. That's going to be when the moon is it's a half moon. It'll be a half
right.
moon.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
Right around that. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much for letting me share.
Welcome. You're welcome. All right. So, anybody else have a code they want to share? Sister, Margie. It is Margie, right? M-Pin. If not, we can just move on. I got a couple of clips. You're trying to talk, you're muted. One on Jimmy
I'm
Dore.
sorry. I'll just tell you. My computer I woke up in the morning to go inside the computer and I had this code and I was really into it and really excited about it. And all of a sudden it was just gone.
Yeah,
We're talking about gone. And then the code that said it was a previous code and only gave one little line of the code in keys.
right.
Only one row all the way across. I don't know what went on with my computer. It says that there's not a virus in it or anything else, but that was the weirdest thing. But
Wow.
it's a pretty cool code, and it's different than the code, which is the comment code. I was going to get that done and then get the comment code.
Mhm.
I'm sorry. I've been really
No
pouring
worries.
hours in,
Did
but
you
you
get
know,
you guys lose power or something?
no,
Nope, nothing like that. So you didn't lose power.
nothing like that. It was
Okay.
just weird.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I hope that works out. Um, you guys, I'm going to show you what else I got on Charlie Kirk. But first, I want to talk about something. I've been seeing this a little bit. It certainly wasn't a high caliber like a 30-06 that did what it was. I thought it was something a little smaller. Jimmy Dore is one of the guys that's posting on this, um, and this kind of subject is getting to the point where they're trying to censor too. By the way, the rabbit hole I've been down with the group that they want us to believe who this is, those words are being banned in like YouTube and on TikTok and things like that. So, like if you comment on them, you know how it is, like with the virus and all that kind of stuff. They're doing that with this, which is weird to me. Um, Anyway, I thought this was interesting what Jimmy Dore brought up because I knew this thing had to be a small caliber at close range. There's a Marine who has done the calculations on the acoustics of this thing and has calculated that this had to be something within 0 to 30 feet or 50 feet, something like that. Is it 30 or 50? Anyway, it's very close. And it's going supersonic. It's a supersonic round, like a 22 Magnum or something like that. By the way, what we saw, I know there's people thinking it come from the other direction, but it could also come from the front direction because that entrance wound, if that was an entrance wound, is exactly what it looks like when a 22 hits. You can stick your finger in that. Anyway, Jimmy Dore posted something here 5 hours ago that I thought was very interesting. So I've been looking at this very closely. So let's look at this. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of a palm gun. This is kind of thing that special operations use. Okay, so we're talking assassins, government assassins use this kind of stuff. Okay.
We have a couple of theories to give you today about the Charlie Kirk one. So this one is that this guy here had what they call a palm gun. So I don't know if you've ever seen a palm gun. They're circular and it's got a little, and it fits in your palm. That's why I call it a palm gun. So a lot of people are saying this guy had a palm gun. So let's watch.
In America, over the last 10 years, counting or not counting gang violence. Great. Great.
So did you see him? He went to pull up his sleeve, and that's exactly when you hear the okay.
Also, I want you to notice that the guy's got optics on. You see those really wide. All right, so he's got like aviators on, but it's got a wide thing right here. It's on both sides. This guy right here's got optics on, and I'm going to tell you why I think that in a moment. If this is the shooter, and look at that, it's a wire frame, but then he's got, this little thing that slides on that kind of protects your head. Military all the way, by the way. This is a lot of military guys do this. I'm thinking these are special kind of glasses. I'm thinking this is something you can see infrared with. Okay. And the reason I say that is because if he's the shooter, he did this without aiming, which means he had to have like a laser or something that only he can see because it's daylight right now. If you have, those little red dot lasers that you have, you play with your cat, that's infrared. Now you can see that dot in the day, in the daylight of your house and stuff. If you go outside, it's really hard to see that. But if you had optics, it would look like a laser beam. Very clear laser beam. So you could point that thing literally. He could point his fist literally where he wanted that round to go, and it would go where he pointed. You understand? That's my theory on this. If this guy's the shooter,
not counting gang violence.
Watch how fast he does that. You see how fast he does that?
There's probably 2 or 3 people in the crowd that have a gun.
Hang on.
Oh!
And then they say you could see. So it looks like he's pretending to pull up his sleeve and he has a palm gun. That's what it looks like. And there's the bullet. That's what they're saying. Again, I'm not saying I cannot verify the veracity of these claims. I'm just showing you these are the theories that are out there. So here he is right here, standing right there. That's his sleeve already rolled up.
So this would be held in your hand. The round is inside that barrel. Now, if it's not something exactly like this, it's probably something similar. You would have a barrel with a laser beam that's right under that barrel, or even on the top of that would put your barrel exactly where you point this thing. Here's the trigger to it. Okay. So again, something that is easily concealed, like the fog of war of this whole thing. Because when you hear something like this go off and you see this, the way this works is you want to, and here's my theory with the snake eyes stuff. It's always a big crowd. You want a big crowd because in the confusion, you can do things that's like sleight of hand that people don't notice. And this guy is on film. As soon as this happens, he jumps over the barrier, over the table. He grabs something. He puts it in his pocket and reaches in his back pocket on this side, like on the other side, the one that may have the other, this thing here in his hand. He hands it to another guy, and that guy walks off. That's not in Jimmy Dore's video. Jimmy Dore's pointing out one thing in this. I might have to pull that up, and I got it saved on TikTok. But this guy does some weird stuff here, okay? And he is part of the security detail. That's no question about it. All right.
To his back bicep, and he feels a need to roll it up even more, which is suspicious. And this is what the gun looks like.
By the way, this is an Israeli group called Schaefer, okay?
Oh.
This is your assassin right here, guys.
So do you see that?
Right.
So what?
Assassin right here, guys.
So
Now, guys,
looks like-
he is standing within feet. Now, the acoustic calculation says within 0 to 30 feet. That is in that range right there.
that little scope thing is coming in between these two fingers right here. That's what it looks like. Again, I'm not saying that's what happened. I'm saying this is a theory. And then he goes to pull up his sleeve, which is already pulled up past his bicep at the exact time Charlie Kirk gets shot.
Right here, it's unbelievable that people watch this and say, no, you're just delusional, or no, you snorted cocaine, or
So do you see this guy?
you're just
This guy is part of this. He's part of the security team, you guys. And those are optics that he's wearing.
So that looks that.
no,
No,
or you're
a lot of people are saying that looks like he's got a palm gun. That's what's being. I'm not saying he does.
Notice how he's using his shoulder and his position to block the view from anybody. Okay. And the guys behind him, see, he doesn't have a gun. He's got his hand up. He doesn't have a gun in his. It doesn't appear to anyone behind that he has a gun. If this is true, right?
I'm saying that's what people are saying.
just like, you can't see what I'm seeing. That is a palm gun. You may not know what a palm gun is, but that is a palm gun. Look it up. That is a palm gun. See him squeezing, see the recoil, boom, and Charlie Kirk is dead. That is a palm gun. Boom, Charlie Kirk is dead.
So that's compelling. It's compelling video.
What about the other bullet video we watched last time?
So
Look who's behind him.
the one that, well, according to Candace Owen, there was no hole. She saw a video that nobody else has seen from the back, and she said there was no exit wound or entry wound in the back. So, and a lot of people are saying that that blood splatter was actually his earpiece that came off. We're gonna get to that.
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you know how these work.
So
There's always 3 or 4 people in the crowd that have guns that are doing something.
yes.
Hip hop assassinations work the same way. They have somebody shoot guns off in the distance, everybody freaks out, and the real killer's right next to you. That's the thing they do in rap, all the way up to presidents, all the way to Charlie Kirk.
So Trinity.
By the way, James File, in his testimony about how the Kennedy assassination went down, he says that there were 4 hit teams in Dealey Plaza. 4.
He says, "Don't forget this one." And then there's
Only 2 fired, by the way. Only 2 fired.
the man in the khaki green shirt that looks like he tucked something under his arm. Regardless, nobody is buying the official story. At 30-6 would have removed his entire head. So they're saying that this guy has a gun under his arm. This one is, I think, less credible.
In America, over the last 10 years, counting or not counting gang violence. Great.
So they're saying that this guy has a gun under his armpit.
Counting gang violence. Great.
So I don't. That's hard to believe. First of all, he's not. They say that, well, he could have in his glasses. They have these kind of devices that has a camera, so he can see in his glasses where he's pointing.
No, it's not a camera. It's an infrared. And I did look it up. Infrared can be used, but guess what? Your glasses have to have a filter on it. And those are filtered glasses that he's got. They're sunglasses.
Okay. That's what some people have said. Again, I'm saying this. I'm saying that's what people are saying. So these are two different theories. So those are two different theories. The palm gun one, I think it has some legs. I think this one has some legs.
I do too. Yeah. It looks, I mean, this would be stealth. This would be going along the playbook. Dealey Plaza was another public assassination where people and the attempted assassination of Trump, you guys, public. Everybody starts running and screaming and you know, this is how the killer can get away. There's got to be chaos involved, right? Now, if he's just standing out, you know, and there's only 4 or 5 people there, it's very easy to figure out who's shooting. But when you got 3,000 people running for their lives, it's very easy because this guy's on camera jumping across the barrier, jumping across the table, grabbing something off the table or something, and he reaches in his back pocket and hands maybe this kind of thing to someone else. And then they both kind of scurry off with Charlie's body because they're part of the security team.
Unbelievable that people watch this. Say, no, you're just delusional, or no, you snorted cocaine, or you're just stupid. Like, you can't see what I'm seeing. That is a palm gun.
So that is pretty compelling.
Who accused him of snorting cocaine when he showed this video? People say, you're snorting cocaine. Wouldn't that make you more alert to the palm gun?
So it's a palm gun.
We know it's not what they told us.
And we're going to insert. So insert. I want you to insert and post what a palm gun looks like right now. So show the palm gun, insert it, so we can get a picture of that online. What a palm gun. It's unfortunate it's not in here. What a palm gun looks like. We'll put it in post. Okay, and we have there's one more theory that I think is actually more credible, the most credible theory. Like these are compelling. I don't know if they're credible. I don't know if they're true, but there's one more theory, and I'm going to show it to you next. But before I do, come see me in Hermosa Beach, Sacramento, and San Francisco.
I don't know about this theory, which is the exploding microphone and all that kind of stuff. I don't really go for that. This was a round that was fired. This seems more plausible, and it fits right into what I said and what the acoustics come down to, that it was close range. This wasn't something from a high-powered rifle at long distance. This was a very fast 22 round, probably a Magnum or something like that. So now, this other thing I want to show you, I remember this movie from when it came out. I didn't put this together though, and End Times Production did. This is very fascinating because if there's something to this, this tells me that something demonic happened and that it was script. Like we see things that happen in Hollywood that actually happen in real life over and over and over again. Here's another one of those examples. This is going to blow your mind, you guys. 1998 movie called Snake Eyes, and people started messaging me everywhere, and I did go and look for it, and you're going to see that code here in just a minute. It's there, and it's in an interesting form. Might be something to this. Let's take a look.
In a movie, a 1998 movie starring Nicolas Cage, called Snake Eyes. Now, maybe you've heard of what I'm about to talk about. Maybe you're up to date with it, or maybe you're new to this whole thing. Either way, what we're about to do in this video is going to blow this whole thing open and leave no room for doubt that this is predictive programming. This is Operation Mockingbird. This is actually a little bit deeper than both of those things because, in my opinion, this is a classic case of the writers of a movie getting information from demons, from spirits, from the spiritual realm.
I think it's a little more in the reverse, that this movie was kind of like a template, and maybe the operation was planned behind the whole scenario. Then that it's a very public thing. The Snake Eyes thing is in a boxing arena with thousands of people, there. And so it's all set up, it's all staged. And the key here is you got to have a lot of people, because for the assassin to get away, and even to plant a patsy, you have to have a large crowd, folks. You'll have false witnesses come forward that saying they saw everything, and they can even be beneficial later to the investigation, right? Because you don't have to pay off somebody to lie. They're already doing it just because they want to be part of the story. It's a whole psychology behind this.
About future events that will come. So we're going to get into this in more detail, but real quick, I just want to say that this movie, it stars Nicolas Cage. It's about an event, a live event at Trump Tower, okay, on September 10th. A live event on September 10th at Trump Tower.
All right, so connecting to Trump, and by the way, Trump is one of the ones that rally in this, just like Vance and all. I'm not saying that they did something. I'm just saying it's weird. He's the central he's one of the focus in this. Is at his event, and it's on September 10th. There's a woman in white with blonde hair in this. The main character that's being assassinated has a particular name. I mean, there's so much that lines up that this is beyond coincidence, you guys.
A boxer named Tyler the Executioner. Okay, seriously, Tyler the Executioner. I'll put the picture up right here. Who is the executioner in our timeline? Tyler. Okay, so Tyler the Executioner on September 10th, he causes a distraction and allows a man named Charles, Charlie, Charles Kirkland, to be shot in the neck. Why, you might ask? Well, if it's not creepy enough, it's because, well, let's just say it has to do with Israeli weapons, and some shady things that are happening behind the scenes. Just like in real life, Charlie Kirk came out against Israel, and the possible, well, he didn't come out against Israel. He came out against Jeffrey Epstein and the possible ties Jeffrey Epstein has with Mossad, Israel's intelligence agency. So, ladies and gentlemen, let me just break this down, and I really want you guys to listen carefully, because what we're about to go over and what we're about to explain is really one of the most chilling examples. Some people might call it art imitating life, life imitating art, but I think it's something deeper, something far darker than that. And that's channeling something. That's the people that wrote this movie were channeling something far darker. And it's really unavoidable at this point, and it's unexplainable unless you really use critical thinking and you think about this through the lens of the Bible. And we'll get into that. So we're going to make this whole thing connect in ways that people, your mind's going to be blown. Okay, so this isn't some vague connection. It really isn't. It's not a loose metaphor. We're not grasping at straws here. We're not forcing this thing. No, this is a direct mirror. Seriously, line for line, shot for shot, no pun intended, is between this Hollywood film and a real world assassination of Charlie Kirk. What, 2-3 weeks ago now? Okay. So stick with me. We're going to break this down, and make sure you stick around to the end, because I'm going to wrap this whole thing together in a nice, tidy little bow, and it's going to leave no room for interpretation, because the Bible talks about this stuff happening, and the Bible is 100% real. So this proves it. All right, let's get into it. Maybe you know the film. Maybe you've seen it. Maybe you haven't. Snake Eyes. It was directed by Brian De Palma, starring Nicolas Cage, and on the surface, it's a flashy thriller. There's neon lights, there's all these crazy things happening, there's fancy editing, split screen shots. It was a cool movie at the time. Nobody thought there was anything deeper associated with it. And at the heart of this movie, it's an assassination plot that foreshadows in chilling detail the death of Charlie Kirk, like we talked about. But we're going to get into it a little bit deeper here. And folks, honestly, when you see the parallels between this movie and real life, you're not going to call this coincidence. It's impossible to be.
Have you guys ever seen this movie or heard about this? I'm not even looking at your chat there, guys, if you're talking about it. Have you guys seen this or ever? heard about this movie? Okay,
I think I've seen it before, but it's been such a long time. I haven't reviewed what they're
yeah,
the points that they're
this was
making about
before
my
9/11, by the way. This is a long time ago. But
my
uh,
son's seen it.
yeah, but it's like they pulled a script right out of a movie, and it played out in another scenario right in front of us. And even all the way up into the memorial thing. And I mean, there was a lot of cryptic things happen in that memorial, and we'll probably get into that some other time. But this is very scary right here. Yeah. Now this is not a scary movie per se, like a horror film. It's a thriller. But the storyline is almost exactly what we've seen. There's all the details on it are very similar. It's bizarre. It's more than coincidence, in other words.
Coincidence. You're going to see it for what it is. It's a pattern. It's a ritual. It's black magic.
Okay, now I would agree with that. It is a pattern. It might be even a ritual, and black magic. So you know, oh,
That was broadcast through Hollywood from the spiritual realm. In the film, it takes place in a live event. So here we have two live events. The live event, the boxing match in the movie, and the live event, Charlie Kirk speaking in Utah. And in the movie, the middle of all of it sits a powerful man who was there, Defense Secretary Charles Kirkland. Okay? Remember that name, Kirkland. Kirk, Charlie Kirk, Charles Kirkland. It's the same thing. Okay? Now, as the fight begins, one of the boxers, Lincoln Tyler, whose name is Tyler the Executioner in the movie, here's a picture showing a scene from the movie. Tyler the
you know what? And I just realized this. The whole theme about a boxing match, which is this is pugilism. This is a mano, right? This is the foundation of warfare. Okay, warfare. This guy is supposed to be what? The Secretary of Defense or whatever he said. He's a military guy, right? This is warfare.
Executioner, September 10th. He takes a dive in the first round. He was paid by Israel to do this, to distract the crowd so that Charles Kirkland can be accessed by the sniper and shot and killed. Basically mirroring exactly what happened to Charlie Kirk. He was shot in the neck. Okay? So in the scene, it shows the Secretary of Defense, Charles Kirkland, collapsing, shot in the neck, directly in the neck, a neck wound. Kirkland, Kirk, Tyler the Executioner, nonetheless. These details are burned into the script, okay? And these details are essential to the Charlie Kirk story. These details are matching. They match in the movie, and they match in real life. What are the odds of this? Well, it can't be random. It's too much. So back to the movie. As the plot unfolds, what do we find? The cover story is terrorism, but the truth inside the script is much darker. It's a corrupt Navy commander and a defense contractor who have set the stage for this whole event to take place. They staged it all. They staged the entire spectacle to protect an arms deal with Israel. That's right. Israel, okay? And we have Israel in the news right now. It's spelled out in the screenplay, in the dialogue, and it was written probably in sometime in the early 90s because movies usually take a few years to produce. So script was written, it got the green light by the studio, and then the movie was filmed probably in 1996, 1997 for a 1998 release. Now fast forward September 10th, 2025, Utah Valley University, Charlie Kirk is standing before a crowd of young people, speaking, engaging, doing what he always did. Suddenly.
And by the way, if you're not good at math, that's 27 years to the assassination from when this came out.
Bang. A sniper's bullet slams into his neck. He collapsed. Tragic, heartbreaking thing. And, the rest is history. Such a terrible tragedy. People screaming everywhere, phones recording. It was pandemonium. It was chaos. And the whole thing was being live streamed to the entire world. Exactly like the movie. The fighting match, the boxing match, was being broadcast live. So again, we have Tyler the Executioner, Tyler Robinson, Okay. Tyler, the executioner in the movie. Tyler Robinson was the executioner in real life. You can't make this stuff up, people. You really can't. You have September 10th in real life. September 10th in the movie. You have Charles Kirkland in the movie.
And by the way, Christina found a snapshot of Erica Kirk in a pageant years ago, and the date that was in it was 9/10 was the date on that. Very bizarre.
Charlie Kirk in real life. Okay. Do you guys see the mirror yet? Is it starting to make sense? Because it should. And at this point, you're probably thinking, how in the world does this even make sense? What does it mean? What is the implications? And how is it possible? We're going to get into that into just a minute. Just hold on a second, guys, because right before his death, Charlie Kirk, okay, he went on record demanding that the government release the Epstein files. Sealed court documents from the Epstein files. He demanded that they be released. Many believe that the Epstein files will hold the key to Epstein's global influence of blackmail, his operation that he had, which, in my opinion, is a lot darker than blackmail. It's human sacrifice, it's spiritual warfare. They're summoning demons, and they're putting these demons on the people who went to his island, and all the other stuff was kind of just, they went along with that. But the main thing was murder, human sacrifice, demon summoning, spirit possession, okay? And this is what the Bible talks about. But I digress. Let's move back a little bit. So on stage with Megyn Kelly, Charlie Kirk raised the possibility, yes, the possibility, and we've all been talking about this for a long time, that Jeffrey Epstein was in fact an asset of the Israeli government. He was an Israeli intelligence asset, a Mossad operative, maybe even an agent. And now Charlie Kirk said this with Megyn Kelly. He didn't claim it as fact, but he asked the question out loud, right? And the immediate reaction was, as you would suspect, he was blasted for saying it. The American Jewish Committee condemned him for saying that, basically saying he was anti-Semitic for even suggesting that Jeffrey Epstein was working with the government of Israel. So, I mean, they dismissed the claim. They said it was lies and it wasn't real. But anybody who can put two and two together, it makes sense why that they're so reluctant to release these files. Okay? Why Trump zigzagged on it so many times. Why he turned around and changed his opinion. Trump used to be all about releasing the files. Then he learned something, and now it's all a hoax. The files aren't real. Jeffrey Epstein was a hoax, according to Donald Trump now. So the fact remains this, honestly. Just before his death, Charlie made this connection between Epstein and Mossad. And then something happened, right? But was it because of that? Or was this whole thing written decades in advance? And I believe so. The same motif is running underneath Snake Eyes and the real life event, okay? We can see these things. We can see the connections, and it's really undeniable. So how many coincidences, honestly, does it take before you start to see the pattern, before the pattern emerges, okay? Because maybe you can see it, but most people don't. Most people don't see these patterns. They see it as a coincidence. That, oh, that's funny, ha, ha, ha. It's not funny. It's actually pretty disturbing. So let's just lay these things side by side, and we're going to make sure that everybody watching this can really understand what I'm talking about. So the name echoes. We have Charlie Kirk and Charles Kirkland. Well, if that was the only thing, maybe it could be a coincidence. But then we have the wound. Both of them were shot in the neck with the same exact precision. Same cinematic imagery as the movie. Coincidence? Now we're starting to see a pattern. Then we have Tyler the Executioner, okay? In the movie, the boxer was Lincoln Tyler. Okay, Tyler the Executioner, that was his name. And in real life, we have Tyler Robinson. So we have Tyler Robinson, who was an executioner, and we have Tyler the Executioner. Same role, okay? Different archetype. We have the 22-year-old kid or whatever, and we have a boxer.
22. That's interesting because I saw that number as well, because it seemed that was the caliber of round that hit him in the neck. 22 is anyway. I'm not going to get into that.
On the other hand, Tyler, the agent of chaos. Okay. So then we have the Israeli connection. In the film, it's a cover up for weapons transfer to Israel. In real life, Kirk had raised the question that Epstein was connected to Israel through Mossad. So there's our Israel connection. And then you have September 10th. Okay. And
by the way, I mean, it goes without saying that there is also a conspiracy theory behind 9/11, that there is an Israeli group involved. Okay.
I believe, maybe I'm wrong about this, but I'm pretty sure that this whole thing happened in Atlantic City at Trump Tower, or one of Trump's hotels, Trump Hotel. Okay, so you have the Trump connection, you have September 10th, you have all these other things. So honestly, what do you think's going on? I think I have an idea, and we'll get to that. But we either have a glitch in the Matrix, just like how in the Matrix, Neo, his passport expired on 9/11/2001. Here's a picture of that. And another thing too. These things, okay, these similarities between Hollywood movies and real life events, this predictive programming, it's not new. Okay, we've been talking about this for a long time. A lot of people have. The Simpsons connection to 9/11. Here, look at this picture. We have all the things on the X-Files that happened, okay? We have, basically, there's hundreds, maybe even thousands of examples of Hollywood movies that predicted real-life events. And we can't really get into all of them here because that's not what this is about. So I don't want to risk beating a dead horse on this and just keep talking about the same things. But it really is something that we need to take a closer look at. We need to really understand the methodology behind this and the inspiration for the people who wrote this movie, right? What is it? It's black magic, and I'll get into that. So it's not coincidence. It's predictive programming, yes, but it really is demonic inspiration. It is the people, whether knowingly or not, they open themselves up to demonic inspiration. They open themselves up to the spirit realm. And that's what's happening here, okay? Now, folks, I want you to hear me out.
Now,
Okay.
I got respect for his theory, and this is I've been in agreement all the way up into this point, but I think it's more along that whoever planned this, if this was indeed an op, that they used that movie as a script, very public. Used the chaos, the fog of war. You've heard me talk about fog of war. That is in the Marine Corps, we call it 9 combat elements of that situation where there's a lot of chaos. There's there's what you see and what you hear and what you smell, and all of these things happening simultaneously, all these senses being sensory overload. So, your adrenaline's pumping. Witnesses are unreliable because it's a scary situation. Fear is a factor in this, right? So it's a perfect time to do something where you want to veil it in chaos. Okay. And again, this is very psychological. This is psychological warfare. This is something that men of war know how to plan and execute right in front of your face. And it's a Hollywood production the whole time. But you're so traumatized by what you're seeing that for some people, time slows down, especially when I mean, it's like a natural human thing in your brain chemistry that when trauma happens, that like time stops down. It's like everything went really slow. It's because your brain's trying to process everything that's happening. And your consciousness is trying to catch up. Okay. It is a shock. We call this fog of war in the Marine Corps. Okay. And I think they got it from the Civil War when all the cannons would go off and there's a lot of chaos. All those cannons and all those muskets would produce powder smoke, and the battlefield would be laced with like a fog of smoke. And it'd be hard to distinguish what was happening, especially when you're hearing all the sounds and things like that. The enemy is veiled. You can't see them clearly. And then when you're it's a lot of chaos, and that is where the term fog of war comes. This is how these operations are pulled off right in front of your face. Even 9/11, there was fog of war involved. All the trauma that was happening, people saw buildings collapse, and you know, it was traumatizing. That's how things get pulled away, pulled off. I won't go into Larry Silverstein and what he made on that, but it was billions in insurance money.
I want you to hear me loud and clear. And I don't want people to misunderstand what I'm about to say, because it's very important. What we're dealing with here is not random. It's not chance. It's not sloppy writing. It's not even lazy Hollywood tropes. No, it's far more sinister, and it's far darker than anybody can realize. What we're seeing over and over again through the systematic use of predictive programming is occult ritual. It's satanic. It really is. And it's known in occult circles as lesser magic, but more specifically, the revelation of method. The revelation of method is well-known occult practice. Basically, what it says is when you do a ritual, when you're trying to influence the future, you have to show the public. You have to show it first, right? So if they're planning on doing X, they have to show what X is in advance. They have to put it out into the world. They have to bury it into people's consciousness before they actually do the thing. So you might be thinking, how does that make sense? You'll see. It gets pretty deep here in just a minute. So this thing that we're talking about here, the revelation of method, it's just a framework. It's the framework that the elite use. They follow themselves, and they believe that, like we just said, before they unleash their next crisis, the next assassination, their big next false flag, they have to show you this first. It's part of their ritual. They have to show it to people, and they have to put it in your face. And that's why so many Hollywood movies, TV shows, and all these things predict things, right? That's why. It's occultism. It's just ritual. And you might be wondering, how do they get this knowledge? Okay. How do they get it? How do they know these things are going to happen? The same way that when somebody goes to a medium or some sort of psychic and asks what their future is going to be. Demons are going to tell you what your future is. Okay, what do you think psychics, where do you think they get their information? They get it from the spirit realm. The spirits, the demons, the fallen angels, they know what's going to happen. They see the future. And in a way, they might not know every single detail, right? Because it says in the Bible that the Lord knows the beginning from the end. So the Lord knows everything. But these demons, these spirits, these things that live over there, they have access to it too. They definitely don't have as much access as the Lord, because the Lord, he knows everything. But these things, they can see the future. That's why in the Bible it tells you not to consult a medium, because they're consulting with spirits. And we're not supposed to be associated with spirits, with demons, with any of that stuff, right? And, in my opinion, that's really how they come to agreement with this. It's just my analysis, and it comes out of the occult literature. It's well known. There's been,
And this goes to the Simpsons predictions and all that kind of stuff. And I've said this for years. Some of the movies that come out, like the ones with the demon clowns and stuff, and this is more personal to me, that I was having nightmares and interactions with demon clowns by the time I was 6 years old. And my mother didn't allow me to see horror movies and things like that. So it wasn't an influence from movies, but yet when I finally saw what Stephen King did with it, lo and behold, it's very similar. The demon that I saw in my dreams and visions and stuff that I have after something very traumatic happened to me, it was the same clown, which is really crazy to me. And it's been like that with many other movies where I was like, oh wow, I've seen that before. And I can think of one movie in particular. It's called Constantine with Keanu Reeves. The demons that are portrayed in that movie, they were very accurate. I've seen the same things in my own experience. So that tells me that somebody else has seen the same thing.
confessions from occultists themselves. There's been books written about it. They call it a psychodrama. They call it ritual theater. And Hollywood has been an altar for black magic for decades. It really has. Let's bring all this in a little bit more, okay? Because I feel like we're out here. Let's bring it in a little bit more and talk a little bit more about predictive programming. Because I've stated that I believe that this comes from the spirit realm. Other people might disagree with me. So we're going to cover the possibilities, at least the three major possibilities of how they've got this information and put it into the movie. So the simple answer here would be just basic predictive programming, right? You condition the public by slipping future events into entertainment, right? Into movies, into TV shows, into books, so that when the actual event happens in real life, it feels normal, or it feels like you're in a
Deja
movie. How many
vu. It
times
feels like
do you hear
deja
people
vu.
say when they see something crazy happen, oh, it feels like I was in a movie. It feels like I'm in a movie. It doesn't feel real. When 9/11 happened, everybody, I remember it. Everybody was saying, it feels like a movie. It doesn't feel real.
It
Why?
did seem like a
We've seen
movie.
these things in movies before. They want us to be accustomed to these things. So they put these images in movies so that when we see them in real life, it feels normal. It feels inevitable, right? It doesn't shock us like it would if we hadn't seen it. It basically lulls people into a sense of security. The subconscious has already accepted it, right? That's why they've showed it to us. We've accepted it, just like the Simpsons episode that referred to 9/11 before 9/11 happened. Yeah, I've seen that before. That's what people are thinking. And that's by design. That's why after COVID hit, millions of people looked back at the movie Contagion and said, huh, this feels eerily similar to real life events, because they had already scripted the whole thing out. They preloaded it with imagery, with everything, the phrases, the narrative beats, basically the characters, the chaos, the whole thing's in the movie Contagion. So predictive programming is more about eroding the resistance, just subconsciously showing people things. So when it happens, they accept it. It works. It really does. It's a psychological trick that they use. But that doesn't explain where they get this knowledge from. Because you can't just say, okay, 20 years from now, this movie is going to come true in a different way. X, Y, and Z is going to happen just like in the movie. You can't just say that unless you're getting this information from somewhere else, right? You can't just make this stuff up. And the elite can't pre-plan this, right? How can they pre-plan it? Charlie Kirk was just a kid when the movie was written and filmed and shown in theaters. Charlie Kirk was what, 5, 6, 7 years old, something like that. So it doesn't make sense that the elite would say, oh, there's this baby here. We're going to raise this baby up and we're going to infiltrate his family and we're going to make him into some speaker and a famous person on YouTube. And
No, nothing like that at all. I think most logically that whoever planned this, the planners of that it was basically textbook, template. They took it as a template, and the writers of that movie was doing the same thing when they were writing it. This is very typical of how, things are orchestrated to kill somebody. So, governments have been known, by the way, and I think this happened in the late 70s, early 80s, where a whole airliner was taken down just to kill one person. It was like a CIA operation or something like that, like some senator or something. Guys, I was a kid when it happened, but I certainly remember, the conspiracy theories behind the whole thing later, where I remember people talking about it, how that airliner was taken down to kill one person. So, yeah, this whole thing stinks of a black operation. And so this movie Snake Eyes, right, seems like it's a template. Not the exact same thing, but a lot of the details. And he doesn't even go into some of the imagery of it, like the woman in the blonde woman dressed in white, and all the other details. There's so many other details. Matter of fact, the picture of all right, the picture of the trailer, you guys. Hang on, I should have had this prompt up for you.
everywhere else. And then
There is a side-by-side of Charlie Kirk and let me see if I can find it before. Where he is sitting a certain way in a chair, and he's got that symbol they all like to do with their hands. You know what I'm talking about, like that. Yeah. Okay. All right. So that was on you. Let me do it on YouTube. Hang on. Yeah, I knew it. All right, here we go. So this, you've seen them all sit like this, right? All right, you see that if I hover over it with my mask, my mask, with my mouse, you see how the actor there is sitting with his hands, how they do, right? Well, there's a picture of Charlie doing the same thing, sitting. Nicolas Cage. You guys see that? That's weird to me. Also, the woman in white in Snake Eyes, blonde, piercing blue eyes. Except she's got short hair in that one. But for a woman who is mourning, it's just weird that they'd be wearing white. And you can go on and on with the similarities. But it's almost like somebody watched that movie, maybe was a fan of that movie, and this is where they got the idea to do this operation. I'm just throwing that out there, right? I see the whole art imitating life and all that, and yeah, and maybe even demonic activity. Absolutely, no question. But I think it's more likely that the idea for the operation, and maybe even behind scenes within themselves, they call it Operation Snake Eyes, right? That is weird to me. That is very weird. That is too many coincidences to be just like a random thing. And I appreciate that brother over there. I don't know his name from End Time Productions, but he's always got really good presentations. I wish I could do the cinematic stuff in the nice 35 millimeter cameras, and he does good production, and draws you into that thought process. So I appreciate you, brother. With that, I want to take you to the code, you guys, because people were messaging me as soon as this started happening. Where people first his video, then I saw Dabu say the same thing. Then there was several other. It was like wildfire. This whole Snake Eyes thing, and then my phone started blowing up from people going, "Hey, did you search for Snake Eyes?" And I was already on it. I was like, "Oh well, yeah, I found it." This is weird how this appears too. So this is the Charlie Kirk is shot. So the initial term is Charlie Kirk, right? But then I saw the extension there is shot Yod Resh Hay, and then you have the same Yod Resh, just the same word there for like shooter, shot. That like this one up here, the shooter. Those sequence of letters there, Yod Resh Hey, and we got a Yod in between. So this is like the shooter, right? Look at this. Nakash. So you got snake eyes. Eyes in the plain text as an abacus effect. Shooter, snake eyes. And then, Charlie Kirk shot. So all that clustering together right there. But now I want you to look at this. All right. So First of all, we've got my son or children. Could be used like that. Sons, bene, sons. But look at this word. I mean, all right, just for effect, I'm going to move this out. See what's right here with Nakash? You guys know what that word is right there? Snake eyes, shot, the shooter. You know what that word is right there? That's Israel. There's a direct connection with Israel somehow. And I suspect it has something to do with the security team, Schaefer, which, by the way, I should have already looked for that word in this. And I have not. Now, here's interesting. Now, I could not find Robinson in this. With all of this that is true, and remember, it says right here, literally in the plain text, it came to pass when he made an end of speaking, close proximity to him being shot, right? At Utah in Orem, and he is shot. We can only find Tyler. And by the way, the Tepna's name for Tyler, and this is a truncated form of his name too, by the way. I think there's 2 yods in his name. That wasn't there, but the 4-letter version is Tyler. And look what's right in the plain text, right next to his name. The assassin, right in the plain text. And that's what they want us to believe. Maybe it is. But he did not shoot Charlie Kirk with a 30-06. They want you to believe that, but that is not the weapon that was used. Now, that may not be a big deal to some people, but that's a major. I mean, the magic bullet in the JFK assassination turned out not to be the bullet that killed Kennedy. That was the one that shot him from the shooter from behind. And by the way, that was a hitman from Sam Giancana that was in the building, not the depository, but another building, that shot Kennedy from behind twice. Kennedy was shot 3 times. The front shot came from James Files. That was the shooter. All of the codes that we've looked on, that everything falls into place. So when we're looking at something like this with him, we can use the JFK. That's why I said there's so many similarities with the JFK stuff, that this is very eerie when we're seeing all the details fall into place here. I should have looked for the word patsy too. I need to write that down. Patsy, probably Mossad, because we got the children of Israel. So that's Israel right there with snake eyes. Schaefer. We need to look for Schaefer in this, right? A lot of other things. One thing's for sure. The man is dead. The children have lost a father. It happened very publicly. It's something that affected me. I mean, you guys ever days early on that I couldn't sleep after seeing that. I kept seeing that in my head and thinking about it, and was just so distraught. That I started looking at this in the codes, and now that I'm seeing what other people are pointing out, things didn't feel right to me. It started seeming like JFK all over again, except bigger, because we got the internet and everybody has cameras, and we call the BS, right? It's easier than 1963. In 1963, if you thought that was a conspiracy, they would label you a nut. You're a nut. It was a open and shut case. Oswald, case closed, and he's dead. By the way, save the taxpayers, right? Same kind of thing. Thomas Crooks, he gets killed. There's no trial on that. He gets killed, and they cremate the body, and then it just move on. Whoa. How did this thing get orchestrated? Because it looked like to me, and some of the things that I was seeing from other investigators, that there was a lot of FBI involvement in that, and probably Secret Service and stuff. I know they wanted the woman Secret Service, the one that was head of it at that time under Biden. They wanted her to take the fall for it, and it didn't turn out that way. That's how I saw it. If Trump would have been killed, that woman would have been on the chopping block. I'm telling you, and that would have been fine with everybody involved because, well, Trump's gone, and we had somebody to blame. Case closed, right? Well, I want you guys before we get out of here. I know I'm keeping you a little bit over. I saw the most bizarre video, and this is what makes it also makes me start thinking along the honeypot theory, even though I hate that because I don't want to think that somebody is so diabolical and so treacherous that you would betray your spouse and be a part of something. I just can't fathom that. But I happen because of my own experiences. I've experienced treacherous people. Okay, so it's not beyond human nature.
We're not going to be.
All right, this video was bizarre to me. I'm sorry. Up until this point, I was defending her. This is literally, it's barely been a couple of weeks. Okay.
Tweeting as if it's him. That's tone deaf and really disturbing. And anyone who does that's like morbidly off. Yeah. That's not what's happening. What's happening is the team is keeping this alive because we have.
All right, so she's talking about how it seems like Charlie's still alive. This is going to people saying that Charlie's still alive and stuff, right? She has been tweeting and putting out stuff that Charlie has not put out, and she says that she has 10 years of content to release, and this is how they're going to keep Charlie alive. Okay, pay attention. This is just weird to me, you guys.
Charlie and each and every one of us. And it is going to be continually the North Star of the conservative movement, of the voice of the youth, of the voice of the base, and that will not end. And the members only will continue to grow, and that will be the tight-knit network of family members that supported and loved Charlie and the team. And that's what it is. It's a family and a team. And this is not going anywhere. It's just not. We're not going to be tweeting as if it's him. That's tone deaf and really just.
All right, let me look for the. Here we go. This one.
We have decades worth of my husband's voice. We have unused material from speeches that he's had that no one has heard yet. We have Sunday specials lined up to those of him because my husband was so intentional about making sure that there was enough content. Always.
He made sure we recorded everything.
Everything.
He would not do a speech unless we could get the video and the
100%. So we have speeches that no one's heard of. We have interviews that no one's heard of. We have stuff from Korea and Japan that no one's heard of.
Podcasts.
So, I mean, in the words of my husband, buckle up, because there is a lot of content to be had. And we have so many amazing things down the pipeline that we are working on currently that will
unveil in due time.
I am so excited.
Yeah.
We have decades worth of my husband's voice.
All right, so some might not think that's weird. It just seems weird to me, man. And I'll tell you why. And I am not saying that she's faking it. I'm not going to be the one to say that kind of stuff. Because I'm not going to judge her. It just seems weird. I know when my brother got killed on a motorcycle, he was in a coma for several days, and then they took him off the machine and all that kind of stuff. I've watched my mother. That happened in 2009. My mother, to this day, still grieves my brother. There's times I know there's times where she cries alone, where she don't want anyone to see that, right? But I can still see it in her spirit that she grieves that. Now, if your husband, the father of your children, has just died, and maybe this goes to her character and her resilience, and I'm not attacking her at all. Please forgive me, Father, if it's perceived that way. But it just seems weird to me that you're exploiting the situation, and maybe this is just her to she's trying to keep her strength up, and this is keeping her busy and all that kind of stuff. But the white thing, wearing white to a memorial. And maybe it's just little nuances that I see personally just as weird. But taking everything else into consideration, the production and all of that, and the whole, she's leaning over her, and we get that intimate moment. It seems like there's a lot of Hollywood in this, and that bothers me, and I don't like that, folks. I don't like feeling like that because it makes me feel like I'm judging this woman, which is, if you watch a movie and stuff, and people get awards for making movies because we judge that movie, right? We're judging what we saw. Oh, that was powerful. That was so beautiful. Oh, that was repulsive. There's a lot of this going on right now, and it bothers me. It doesn't seem like she's grieving, doesn't it? Seems a little fake. I've seen my mother grieve losing her baby's boy. Okay, and it's different. I don't know, when somebody is really grieving that someone you love, it just seems different. And I'm not, again, I'm forgive me, I'm not judging her or anything. Like, it just seems weird. There's a lot of weird stuff with this, and it's keeping me up at night right now a little bit. And I need to be focused on some other things. Like I said, I got some teachings to coming up at Sukkot time, but I've been focused on this a little too much I don't like the way that I dwell on this, and my mind kind of goes thinking all of the weird things on this. This whole thing with snake eyes, you guys, is weird. Would you agree? Am I just reading it too much into this, or is it anybody else seeing this? Because it just
you're on it 100%, Jonathan. And we are supposed to test things and to see if it's really true, or the person to test the spirits. And it's obvious if you have the Holy Spirit, you can tell.
I feel like I'm discerning something, and I feel like because the whole playbook thing, you created a martyr, first of all, therefore you're hijacking the movement, right? And therefore you can direct it in any way you want to direct it. LBJ did this, right? LBJ was at the bottom of the assassination of JFK. Okay, and then he directed he directed the nation, and even in the mafia assassinations, and when mafia hitmen, sometimes they kill their own friends and stuff, and then show up at the funeral and console the mother and cry the most tears, right? They rally the most around the victims, and they're the ones that's involved. LBJ did that. The first thing he did was went to JFK's wife, right? And so it's like a whole playbook where we're seeing all these things play out. And it's weird to me. It bothers me. And, looking at the codes here and putting all these pieces together, seeing clips. I've seen so many clips, you guys, and people commenting and giving analysis. And this is what was different about the 60s. Now we have the internet. We've got so many angles. We've got people that were there. They're talking about it. They're documenting. And that's what I'm thankful that people are documenting all the facts, because when we figure this out, laid down, we're still in the fog of war right now. We'll be figuring this out down the road. Everybody understand? That's how these things are. You will never figure it out immediately. In any kind of time that something happens, any kind of tragedy, there's always a process of investigation and putting the pieces together and figuring out what went wrong, how it went wrong, who's involved, all of that kind of stuff takes time. And this has been something very public for the whole world. I think it's even bigger than the JFK assassination, because it was so publicized. I was literally watching it, somebody streaming it like 3 rows deep, like close, super close. And when I saw it, it was such a shock to me that it impacted me. It was like losing a brother or something like that. And seeing my own kin getting killed in front of me, it's weird. And so I've looked deep into this, and I appreciate the emails and all the messages that people send me, and I'd go down those rabbit trails, you guys. I got warned on this one about not saying a certain words and talking about certain people and stuff because they happen to be they are so far right that they're almost left. And that's kind of the whole gag because they're mostly trolls. And when they saw Trump running for presidency, that's when they really jumped on him because they felt like he was trolling everybody. And so that was their candidate. Now they can't stand trolls, so they try to sabotage things. There's a connection to January 6th and all that, all the rhetoric and the accusations from the left about it being MAGA people. It turns out it really was a lot of MAGA that was instigating it. It was the far right doing it. And we're talking like the Nick Fuenteses. I probably shouldn't say that. Anyway, that I've had to pump the brakes on. I've been working on some codes from the three frogs and the unclean spirits from Revelation because it's connected to that. And Pepe the Frog, of all things, it's a deep, dark rabbit hole. But it seems like whoever the mastermind is to orchestrate this, they want us to believe it was this particular group, which is a very far right group. They're so far right that you would think they're left, but they're not. And there's a lot of those out there. Jeffree Star is one of those kind. Milo Stephanopoulos, or however you say his name. He is one of those, a far right, not one of this group, but in that spectrum, gay, Republican, they're against feminism, they're against transgenders and all. They're against Jews. Some of them are against Jews, like Fuentes. It's very far right. Well, I got warned, so I have to dance very delicately around this particular subject because, well, I don't even know who's calling that shot, really. I've just been informed there's certain words I can't say, or, you start getting strikes and banned and all that kind of stuff, and so I don't want to go there. Anyway, you guys got anything to add before I close up tonight? We're still working. James is working, getting everything together. He's also doing many other projects, not just ours. So he's been quite busy, but things are coming along. So no major updates. I think he's been working a lot, really, on some kind of GPS thing for hunters in the state of Arkansas, and I've seen him posting a lot of stuff on that. So he's had other projects he's been working on. So I'm hoping he will show up at TheCodeSearcher because it's not far from where he lives, where I'm going, which is West Tennessee. Hopefully I'll get to see him for a few days and we can talk shop and see where we are on the project. All right. Let me pray. Then we'll see you probably one more time before then. Yeah, I think we got one more class, you guys, if I'm not mistaken, before I got to get on the road. And keep us in prayer. It's not an easy trip. It's quite hard distance, and we got a long way to go. So, all right.